You're good.
All right, thanks a lot, Jim. All right, so I'll welcome everybody. I'm Kim Scheintel. I'm president of the Jewish Genealogical Society of Southwest Florida. I think we'll have a few latecomers coming in, but I thank everybody here. And I'd like you to know that you're all welcome to join the JGS of Southwest Florida. If you're not already a member, it's $25 for a single membership, $30 for a family membership, and $50 for a sustaining membership. Okay, I just wanted to let you know about a little brick wall that I solved this past pandemic. Actually, it's probably going to interest Phil Goldfarb more than anybody else, but I'm just going to say it here now. Did you know that you have to really keep your eyes open to make a brick wall discovery? Sometimes it's in the least expected place too. For example, I solved a brick wall because of a recipe in a synagogue cookbook from a synagogue in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And the reason I'm saying Phil might be interested because he is president of the JGS of Tulsa. I have a first cousin who lives in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and she called me one time to let me know that she saw a recipe in her synagogue's cookbook by a Faye Clapman, and she was but not a Faye Clapman, by a lady named Rachel, who said that the recipe came from her grandmother, Faye Clapman. And my cousin Michelle called me up and said, I see this recipe in the cookbook by somebody named Rachel, and she said that the recipe came from her grandmother, Faye Clapman, and Clapman is the name in my cousin and my family. She said, could Rachel be related to us? Well, during the pandemic, I solved the problem. We found out that Rachel, my cousin Michelle, and I are fifth cousins twice removed. And it's all because of a recipe in a Tulsa synagogue cookbook. Okay,
what's your name?
Phil, I was just wondering, did you know by any chance Michelle Brock from Tulsa, Oklahoma, or Rachel Sharpak from Tulsa? Do you know either one of them?
Name's familiar.
And I will tell you this, I spoke to my cousin Michelle this morning, where she's not at all interested in genealogy. Whenever I call her or talk to her, she said, I've heard the name Phil Goldfarb. She says it comes up a lot. So you're a popular person in Tulsa, even if people don't do genealogy. So now I'd like to.
I write a monthly for the Tulsa Jewish Review about genealogy and Jewish history. So my name's out there, I guess.
That's what she told me. She says it's definitely out there, and she's not even interested in genealogy, although I'm trying to get her to be interested. She definitely knows about you and who you are and what you do. So I just thought I'd give you that little bit of information. So now I would like to call on Howard Finkel, who is our program chair, to introduce our speaker.
Thank you, Kim, and welcome everyone. Before I introduce our speaker, let me tell you we have two programs left this season. The next one is on March the 19th. It is Gil Bardage, and he is going to speak on using Y-DNA and mitochondrial DNA in genealogy research. And on April the 16th, Robin Magid, the Assistant Director and member of the Executive Committee of JRI Poland, will speak on finding your Eastern European Jewish family on jripoland.org. Today, researching genealogy for over 35 years, Phil is the founding and current president of the JGS of Tulsa, which he started in 2005. He has lectured extensively on various topics in genealogy, published articles in numerous periodicals, and authors a monthly column in the Tulsa Jewish Review. He has written two books titled A Page of History, Passport Applications 1851 to 1914 and 1915 to 1925. Phil is a member of the JewishGen leadership team, as well as being the lead moderator for the JewishGen discussion group. He was the chairman of the 2020 IAJGS Awards Committee and sits on the board of directors for several nonprofit organizations. In July 2020, he won an Emmy Award as a co-producer for the Tulsa Historical Society's documentary titled Ledor Vador, Generation to Generation, A History of Tulsa's Jewish Community, which has been shown on PBS stations around the US. In his career, he has personally given over 2,000 presentations, as well as teaching a course on presentation skills. He is the moderator of the JewishGen discussion group and also the editor of the JewishGen weekly news, Nosh. Phil, go ahead.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Can everyone see the screen?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Then we're good. So let me first of all thank all of you for inviting me here, particularly Kim and Howard. I appreciate it. And I hope that you'll find this presentation to be interesting, educational, and we'll have a little fun while we're doing it as well. So let me make certain that we can, there we go. Okay, here's the agenda. We're going to talk about what the discussion group is all about, how it can help you, advantages of this new platform, rules and regulations, how to join it, group settings, options for message delivery, how to change an email address or message delivery, several ways to post on the discussion group, how to find archival messages, hashtags, how to create an automatic signature, how to reply to a message, why messages are rejected or deleted, some success stories, and what happens when you're confused or you need help. So you went through my history. I always put this little saying up whenever I give a presentation, or it's in a news nosh as well, because I really, really mean this. I think it's important for genealogists that we remember the past, and also hopefully people will remember us in the future. So let's talk about what the JewishGen discussion group is all about. It unites researchers worldwide as they share information, receive answers to questions. There's ideas on there, methods, tips, techniques, resources, and translations. Currently, there are 20,400 discussion group members who really are there to help you. They really are, and there's some great people that will help. There are 11,000 messages are posted per year on almost every genealogy subject you can think of, and it's an online forum for researchers of all levels, from beginners to experts, and it's really the place to go for help with a genealogy problem. You have an issue or question, go to the JewishGen discussion group. Some examples, you have questions about census records, either here in the U.S. or in other countries, the 1897 All-Russian census. Are you planning a research trip? Someone will tell you who to contact, where to go. Are you looking for different records? Are you searching for naturalization or citizenship records? Are you looking for information about military service? Do you have a question about a ship manifest? Do you need a photo or a cemetery visit? Someone will actually go to the cemetery and take pictures of cemetery plots for you. It's an incredible group. Are you looking for someone to visit an archive? Do you need help looking something up in a book or other paid subscription sites? Do you need help with a name? Are you looking for a particular person or family? Do you want to learn more about a place or a building even? Are you trying to discover your ancestors' travel route? Are you trying to find your ancestors' shtetl or village? First, a trivia question, which is larger, a shtetl or a village? Anyone know? The answer is a shtetl. A village is smaller than a shtetl. A village is less than 500 inhabitants. So there's the first trivia of the night, of the afternoon, I should say. Are you trying to understand your ancestors' occupation? Are you looking for probate or property records? Are you looking to find a particular document? Do you need help, translation help, or deciphering a word or sentence? Do you have questions about a certain country, how to find their records or a guide? That's what the JewishGen discussion group is all about. So also, with the discussion group, you'll get the latest information first and fast. Be the first to get all the JewishGen news, learn about Zoom programs around the world, really. Hear about JewishGen talks. I don't know if any of you have attended those, but those are pretty darn good. Get updates about JLWBR, updates about the Yisker books and Yisker books in print. Receive postings and information from Jan Mizels Allen and her IAJGS Public Records Access Monitoring Committee and get the latest information on IHAGS activity. The platform. Some of you may have noticed that the platform changed in 2019 for the better, and they added a lot of features by doing this. Cost them a lot of money, JewishGen, but it's well worth it. It eliminated the need for plain text, which means you can post and reply even with your mobile device as well as computers. It's very secure and it's simple. There are other groups online that, first of all, don't have anyone moderating it, and there's some spam that gets in. There's some obscene wording that gets in. So at least you know with the JewishGen discussion group, every single message is moderated. It accommodates text with signs and accents from other alphabets. You can add hashtags to your keywords. We'll talk about that, what that's used for. The main language used is English. You can post messages or requests for translations in other languages. Archiving capabilities are expanded. We'll talk about archives. And again, the JewishGen discussion group is worldwide, and I think that's a real advantage to this. You can include formatted, bold. You can italicize something, underline it, accent it. So, first of all, how to join? Pretty simple. If you're not a member, you probably should be, because it's free, number one, and everyone likes free stuff. Go to the main page of JewishGen, and you see where it says Connect on the JewishGen discussion group. Once you hit that, you'll go to subscribe. You see my arrow here. It says subscribe, and that's how you can subscribe. You can also post here, and we'll talk about posting.
Phil, you're not sharing.
What do you mean?
Oh, we're seeing you, but you're not sharing your. You need to initiate the share. I'm sorry, I didn't realize you thought you were sharing.
I thought I was sharing the whole time. Let me get out of this then. Huh.
So, green button at the bottom.
Yeah, I don't have a green button at the bottom is my problem.
Oh, you know what? You need to be doing it on your phone. That's why, I think, don't you? No, you don't. No, you don't. Should have a green button at the bottom. Try moving your cursor around on the screen. Maybe it'll pop up. Are you in the Zoom screen right now? Are you looking at the Zoom screen?
Yeah. I'm in the Zoom screen. Let me see here. All right, let's try something else.
There you go.
See this?
Yep.
Got it?
Now you got it.
All right.
Now we have it.
So I'm very sorry. I don't know why that happened. All right. Can you see all this?
Yes.
You see this?
Yep. You're good to go.
Okay. So this is what I've been talking about this whole time. I'm sorry you couldn't see it, but this is what I'm talking about. All right. Let's go to where we are. Talked about the platform. All right. Here's how you join. Go to the initial page, and then you go to Connect. See Connect here. All right. Now, once you do that, you hit subscribe down here, and you can become a member. Again, it's free, it's simple. Password. All right. When you join the discussion group, you'll be asked to create a password. This. All right. Just remember, the discussion group and the JewishGen website are separate programs. You can either have the same email and password or have separate ones, but they are separate. You can make it the same as your website to make it easy to remember for both entities. If you forget your discussion group password, you'll be prompted to create a new one when you log in. All right. All members can post to the group. Posts to the group require approval from the moderators. So there's no porn, there's no spam at all, and I think that's a real advantage over some of the other groups like Tracing the Tribe and the Jewish Genealogical Facebook page. Messages, and this is important, messages are set to reply to the group, not to individuals, okay? So, and we'll talk in a little bit how to reply to individuals. Subscriptions to this group require approval from the moderator. The archive is visible to anyone. Only moderators can create new hashtags. We'll talk about hashtags. You can't edit your message. Once you submit it, you can't edit it. And that's why you see a lot of grammatical errors. You see a lot of spelling errors, because people don't review before they post. But there's nothing you can do about it. You can set your subscriptions to various methods. We'll talk about that. So first of all, there's 5 email delivery methods for the JewishGen discussion group. The daily summary, that's the one you get once a day. About over 80% of the people use this. You get new messages. You get message replies on the bottom, and this is one that's recommended. There's a full feature digest you can get in groups of 12 messages several times a day. Individual messages, if you want to fill up your inbox with individual messages, you can try it this way. Special notices only. You'll only receive special notices from the moderators or from the staff, and no email. You receive no emails. And this one always bothered me. Why would you join a discussion group and put down no emails? Just boggles my mind. But there are several people who have done that. So, be that as it may. Okay, how to change your email or message delivery option. You go to your main page, your members page, and you'll see your email address here. And by the way, you know that you're logged in when you see your name in the upper right-hand corner. That's how you know you're logged in. If you're not logged in, you can't respond to anything. Okay, so here are the different email deliveries down at the bottom. Individual messages, full featured digest, 12 messages at a time, and the daily summary, special messages, or no email. If you want to change them, simply change it, and you hit save. That's all you have to do. And if you have any questions, I'm going to stay as long as I need to stay at the end of the program for any questions. As with anything, there's rules and guidelines. Posts should relate to Jewish genealogy. You can imagine some of the things that try to get on there that we stop. A lot of fanatics out there, let me tell you that. We don't discuss religious or political issues. The group is moderated to ensure that everything's civil, that posts are related to Jewish genealogy and appropriate. Moderators will not edit the text, as he said, so any typos or grammatical errors, they're in there. Posing a message. If you're new to the discussion group, read some of the previous posts and replies to get a sense of how it works. Subject line. Please use a descriptive subject line so that other subscribers can determine if your message will be of interest to them. They'll open it and respond. And we'll talk about some subject lines that are just worthless, to be honest, because no one's going to open them, no one's going to respond. Subject lines such as help, travel plans, are just hashtags. They're not descriptive. It doesn't tell anything. Better would be help needed, reading a ship manifest, seeking recommendations for Belarus tour guide. And moderators may ask senders to modify vague subject lines to add clarity, or they may make minor modifications to the subject line themselves. 1 or 2 appropriate hashtags must be added and should be added to the end of the subject line. Again, we're going to talk about hashtags in just a few minutes. Hashtags are really a tool for indexing, categorizing, sorting, and searching the postings on a discussion group. They help members determine which messages might be of interest to them. And I'll be very honest, when they switched to hashtags, 4 years ago now, I thought it was worthless. What do you need a hashtag for? But I'm going to tell you, it's really worthwhile, and I'll show you why. Now, if you don't put it on there, the moderators will add a location and subject hashtag as appropriate. There's 45 approved hashtags, and only authorized hashtags should be used. There's a list of them you can find on your page. For instance, instead of having Florida and all USA, okay? Because someone else would have to go through all hundreds of hashtags to find your particular state or a particular city, so they just simplified it and put USA. Hashtags could also be used to mute or block certain topics in which you're not interested in. Replies. This is rather important. Consider when if your reply will be of interest to the entire group or only to the sender. If you subscribe to the daily summary, you can reply to the sender of a message rather than the group by clicking private at the bottom right side of your reply text box. I'm going to show you this in just a couple of minutes, so don't worry about it. Full digest, there's a button at the bottom, reply to sender or reply to group. Criteria, if the message could be helpful or contains information that other members might find interesting, your message will be approved for everyone to view. If it only contains information for that particular individual, then it will be rejected and the member will be told to send it directly to that person. So here's the adage. The adage is, would your reply message be of interest to all 20,000, actually 400 discussion group members, or just to the individual? For example, someone writes, oh, I think your great-grandmother Seal is sister to my great-grandmother Betty. What do you think? Now, that should obviously go back to the individual and not to all 20,400 people. So that's essentially what I'm talking about. Your signature. Again, this is not an anonymous forum, so we require each posting and reply to have a signature, and that's the first and last name of the sender at the end of each message. I think this also helps with keeping things honest. While optional, you might want to put your city and country of residence. You can add your email address, your name. You can put people who you are looking for, names, shtetls you're looking for. You might want to create an automatic signature, including surnames in towns, village, shtetls. I'm going to show you how to do this. Don't worry about it right now. Surname, you can use uppercase when typing any of the surnames you're researching, but remember, for those of you who are computer geeks, using capital letters is the internet code for yelling. So we ask that you don't use capital letters in your message. There is one person that uses capital letters because she has a eye problem, some type of seeing problem, and so she has to use capital letters to see what she's typing. Commercial posts, we welcome everybody, including other nonprofit organizations, to share commercial posts as long as they're related to Jewish genealogy. Some people want to put about their book or something, but you can only do it every 3 months. Each post will be reviewed and approved. Commercial posts should not be repeated more than once every 3 months. They don't want fundraising posts for other organizations, which you can understand because JewishGen wants to fundraise for themselves. These will be rejected. Images, you can attach images and files. If the file is too large, we might resize it or ask you to upload it somewhere else to provide a link. Providing a link is probably the best way to do it. The official language is English. We accept messages and content in most languages. Links, if posting a link not in English, please provide a description of the content of the link website. I don't think all of you in Florida have to worry about this. All right, there's 2 ways to post a message. One way, here's your main screen on the left. It says new topic. Post it that way, or you can where it says group mail email addresses, where it says post. So those are the 2 ways you can post a message. Archive messages. All right, I'm going to pause here because what I want to say is, if you remember nothing else from this presentation, you say, oh, this guy's just talking and rattling and everything. Remember this. This is probably the most important thing that you'll learn today, and that's archival messages. All messages are archived back to 1998 and can be searched via the main discussion group. Just go to your main page, and again, you've got to be signed in for this. And by the way, signing in, I haven't had to sign in for 3 years. So once you're signed in, you usually sign in unless you sign yourself out. On the left side, click Messages. Again, I'm going to show you all this. Then click the search button. You can also search by keywords, by names, by villages, by shtetls, or by clicking on hashtags. I'll show you that as well. To narrow a search, use the plus format. For instance, if you're looking for the name Leet, you can put, that happened to be my family name back in Lithuania. You put in Leet in the archival messages, you'll find 13 of them. If you put in Lithuania, you'll find over 10,000 messages. However, if you put in Leet plus Lithuania, you get 7 messages that you can check out. If you wish to search for messages within a specific time frame, check the hourglass icon next to the word search. All JewishGen SIG special interest groups, they're now called, what are they called now? They're not called SIGs any longer. They're called, I can't remember. Newly migrated or Gesher Galatia messages. There are over 675,700 messages archived. So here's how you get to them. Again, if you remember nothing else from today's meeting, remember this. So here's your main page. Go to Messages. So your messages on the left. Again, you've got to be signed in. On your right, make sure you're signed in. Go to Messages. You'll see something that pops up that says Search. Here's your hourglass. All right. Go to Search. Hit Search, and a box pops up. Type in whatever you want to type in there, and then hit Search, and that's where you'll get some great information. I did that on myself maybe a year or two ago, and I have a little village that my great-great-grandparents lived in called Radidiki, Radeikiai, Lithuania. Very obscure. There's like 300 inhabitants. And I'll be darned, something popped up about a Yisker book with the little village, and it actually talked about my relatives that own a grain farm. And without this archive, I never would have found that. So very important, the JewishGen discussion group archives. Hashtags. You can use hashtags for indexing, categorizing, sorting, and searching. Other places call it the pound sign. It's a frequently used feature of most social media subjects. You should add a regional hashtags to your subject line if you're going to post a subject. There are 45 of them. I request that you type in or select from an improved list. They're all lowercase, by the way. They're all in lowercase. If you don't add any hashtags to the emails, the moderators will do so. So if you don't want to mess with it, we'll put it in there for you. How to mute them. If you have absolutely no interest in reading about a certain topic, which you prefer not to see messages tagged with these topics, you can mute a hashtag to filter and decrease the number of messages. Checking on the mute feature allows you to stop receiving messages that are tagged with a certain topic in which you're not interested. And again, I'll show you how to do this. If you're logged in, click on hashtags. Again, I'm going to show you how to do this. It'll appear, see all, click the mute button on any topic you don't want to read about. You can unmute it anytime you'd like. Now, this is very important, though. Very important. If you mute a hashtag, any message that contains that hashtag will be muted. For example, if a message has multiple, two or three different hashtags, and the hashtag that you muted is in there, the entire message, you will not receive the message. So if there's hashtags of Gdansk and records, Poland, if you've muted only Gdansk, you will not receive that message. To be very honest, don't mute a hashtag. Don't mute it. I think they may disable that function, but I just want to let you know that you can do it for whatever reason. So here's how you mute it. You go, again, here's your main page. You've got to be logged in, and you simply go to mute, notify, mute, You have nothing in Austria, Czech, mute it. Nothing, you don't want to get any message on Cortland, mute it. Gdansk, mute it. Again, the problem is if there's several hashtags and that's in it, you won't receive that message. Hashtags to be added at the end of the subject line. It must be in lowercase for uniformity. For whatever reason, they decided that all hashtags are in lowercase. So instead of capital Belarus, it's lowercase Belarus. If you're adding more than one hashtag, a space is required. It does it automatically, by the way, if you do the pull down list. 2 or 3 hashtags are sufficient. There was one person, I'm not going to mention his name, who thought that the more the hashtags, the more people are going to see it, your message. Absolutely not true. Everyone will see your message regardless of how many hashtags. This person put 10 hashtags in, thinking that the more hashtags he would put, the more people would see it. Not true. It's for classification purposes only. Please use only the approved and authorized ones. Some people just try to put in their own, and don't do that because it'll be deleted. It might get rejected. Don't make up one on your own. I'll try to emphasize that. Don't make up one on your own. So there are 45 approved hashtags. There's all these different topics for each. So, I mean, if you have relatives in Belarus, I mean, there are 28,211 topics. And the reason why there's so many in Belarus and Galicia is because it used to be Galicia SIG, Belarus SIG. They've all been migrated over to this particular platform. Same thing with Hungary. You mentioned Hungary earlier, Kim. There's 32,954 topics on Hungary. You can just spend days in doing this if you'd like. Poland, 49,000. There's more now. Okay, the automatic signature feature. How to create an automatic signature. This is rather interesting. The number one reason for message rejection is lack of a signature, as we are not in anonymous form. And I will tell you, by moderating this thing, I bet we reject anywhere from 10 to 20 messages a day because there's no signature in it. You have to have your name in there. So if you want to create an automatic signature, which makes it very easy for you, so once you send, you put your message in, your automatic signature goes in, go to that main discussion page, as you've seen. Again, you should be logged in. If you're already logged in, the login button will not appear. Log in if you're already a member. You can be asked for your password. Again, the password for JewishGen discussion group is separate from the one for the JewishGen.org. So again, you're logged in to create this automatic signature. So here's how you do it. Go in, you go to subscription. There's a subscription here. On the subscription page, scroll down to the box that says signature. To add a signature, I'm going to show you this. Click click both boxes. I'm going to show you why, because remember I said there's 2 ways of posting. There's web posting and there's email posting. Type your signature, add your location, your email address, family names, shtetls or villages you're searching. And people like to know your city, state, and province. I used to write in Phil Goldfarb, Tulsa, and I would get people from Israel. Is that in London? Is that in England? Where's Tulsa? Tulsa what? So now, even in the news with Nosh, you'll see I say Tulsa, Oklahoma, USA. So be more. I learned to be more specific. So here's if you want to do that automatic signature. It says use the signature for web posting, use it for email posting, and then hit save. Okay? Again, if you have any questions at the end, I'll stick around and you can add questions. Replying to the, let's see, this will reply to the group. Oops, sorry. If the message is useful, reply to the individual or to the group. The adage is it useful or contains information that other members might find interesting? It'll be sent back to everyone. Contains only information for the singular individual. it's rejected, and we'll tell you send it directly to the person. Questions on the various genealogy lectures. Is it being recorded? Is it free? I'm having problems connecting. I have a hair appointment that day and can't make it. It's my mahjong time. When else can I view it? I promise you, we've seen these questions that come back to the discussion group. Well, obviously, 20,400 people don't want to know that you have a hair appointment that day and can't make the discussion. So we send it back and we say, go to ask the individual who posted it, okay? And I'm going to show you how to do that. Also, by the way, just as an FYI, all of the JewishGen talks that are on Wednesdays, they're all recorded. They're all recorded and are on the JewishGen YouTube channel. So, again, messages like this should go back to the individual. And again, as I said, JewishGen talks are recorded. Okay, there are two primary formats for receiving the discussion group method. We talked about that. One is the daily summary, and the other is the full digest. Same messages, different formats, different delivery schedules, and different ways of replying. Again, most of you will get it once a day. Others get it 12 in a group. Okay, 12 messages. Do you know which one you have? That's the key. Do you get something once a day, or do you get it in groups of 12? So, responding to messages, there are three ways you can respond to a message on the discussion group. Reply to the entire group, reply privately to the sender, click the like button. Remember that the reply button is for everyone. When you hit reply, it's going to all 20,400 members. So you got to be specific if you want to just, if you want your message to reply to an individual. All right, for the daily summary format, this is the one that most people get. And I'm going to show you, I'm going to do it in words, then I'm going to show you a pictogram of it, a screenshot. If you don't see a reply button at the bottom of the new message, first of all, it means you're not logged in, so you won't be able to reply. You've got to be logged in to respond. Although you can receive discussion group messages without being logged in, you must be logged in to reply to messages. I can't tell you how many messages the support group gets from people that saying they can't respond to messages. And the question the support group says, are you logged in? And they say, I don't know. And the support group said, log in and you'll be able to reply. So here's another thing. Make sure you're logged in. Okay, we showed you how to do that, the passwords. When you're logged in, you'll see your name in the upper right-hand corner. Okay. The daily summary format. To reply to the group, just hit reply at the bottom left-hand corner, type your message, and click reply to the group. To reply privately to the sender when you reply to a message would be of interest only to that sender. If the author of the message provides an email address, you can write them directly. If not, click the reply arrow in the lower left-hand corner of the message. After composing your message, click the private button at the bottom right of your reply text box. You're saying, Phil, show me how to do this. Now I'm going to show you. Then hit reply. So here you are. Here's the message. You're logged in up here, okay? You want to reply, or you can like it. So you hit reply. Here's a message. You want to reply to the person. If you hit reply, you can reply to the group. If you hit reply, you'll see this box come up. Okay? So you'll type in your reply. If you want to send this message back to the entire group, you simply hit reply to group down here. See it lower left? And it'll go to all 20,400 people. If you want to reply privately to that individual, see on the right-hand side, it says private. Right here, lower right-hand side, hit private. Hit that button. Once you hit that button, this next box will come up. You type in what you want privately and hit reply to sender as opposed to reply to group. I'll go back and show you that again. Hit reply. You want to reply to the group, write your message and hit reply. If you want to reply privately, hit the private, type in your message, and hit reply to sender. Okay? It's really pretty simple. If you're in the full digest and want to reply, and just hit reply to group or reply to sender. And your question is going to be, why can you do this in the full digest format, but not in the daily digest? The answer is, I don't know, and they can't figure out how to do it. So it's a IT issue, and I wish it would make it easier for everyone, but be that as it may. If you want to reply privately to sender, you can hit reply to sender. If you want to reply to the group, you can do that. If you want to like it, you can do that. Just click the like button at the bottom. If you don't see a reply or a like button at the bottom online version, that means what? You're not logged in. You're not logged in. Okay, why are messages rejected? Well, like I said, the number one reason for message rejection is the lack of a full name. Because it's not an anonymous form, we require each person in reply to have a signature, and that's why a lot of people are going to using the automatic signature feature. Again, anywhere from 10 to 20 a day we reject. And, you know, we put it at the first of the year, hey, the number one reason for rejection, lack of signature, people still do it. The number two reason why messages are rejected is that a reply message is personal for an individual as opposed to being of interest to the entire group. Okay? Again, as I mentioned, my grandmother and your grandmother were sisters. What do you think about that? Do you have a family tree we can share? That should go back to the individual. So ask yourself the question, do all 20,000, it's actually 400 members, need to see this post, or is it just for a specific person? You want to post an article, post a link to the story, and instead of posting the entire article, which might be subject to copyright laws. When posting a request for a translation, please put multiple requests in a single post. Again, these are also reasons why messages are rejected, as opposed to posting 4 times for 4 different translations. This will help keep the number of messages that you as a member receives to a minimum. The subject line doesn't match the content. That is, for example, sending back to the group a daily summary subject line with entirely new requests. I've seen, Avrami Grohl sends out something that talks about next week's JewishGen talks. Well, someone hits reply and says, my grandmother was born in Lithuania. Her name is so-and-so. Can you help me with this? Well, it has absolutely nothing to do with the subject line. So we'll send it back and say, make certain that your message has something to do with your subject line. Just only having a hashtag in the subject line or a single word doesn't tell a member what you're looking for. A subject line must be descriptive so that other members can determine if your message is of interest to them or they can be of assistance. If your message line isn't descriptive, no one's going to open it. No one's going to respond to it. You'll have, down here, more members will open your message and respond, look at the guidelines, and look at other subject lines. So here's an example. These are actual examples of a bad subject line. Need help. Well, we all need help. Posting. Yes, you're posting. Hashtag Brooklyn, hashtag New York. First of all, as I mentioned, it's all lowercase. Number 2, it's not individual cities, so it should have been hashtag USA. Lost Cohen family. Do you know how many Cohens there are in the world? Be more specific. Do you know my great-great-grandfather? No? Can you give me some more specifics? Do you know my great-great-grandfather, Moshe Dayan, from Israel? Searching for my cousin. Well, we're all searching for our cousins. Lithuania. Well, I mean, to put Lithuania in the subject line, do you want what the temperature is today in Lithuania? Do you want when it became a country? Do you want who the head of Lithuania is? Be more specific. Tombstone. Yes, there are tombstones. What would you like about the tombstone? Would you like a translation of a tombstone? Going down, translation. Be specific. Information needed. We all need information. Can you be a little more specific? Searching. We're all searching. Jewish names. We all have Jewish names we're looking for. So again, these are actual examples of a subject line. No one's going to open this. No one's going to reply. 1914. What do you want to know about 1914? That's when World War I started. Do you want to know who the President of the United States was at that time? So, again, bottom line is be more specific on a subject line. Why are messages deleted by the moderators? Duplicate messages. Some people think it didn't go through, but it did, so we duplicate it. A message with just thank you or great or yes or it sounds good to me, it's not substantive. It doesn't say anything. It just takes up space and it will simply be deleted. Messages with no content. Some people, for whatever reason, they try to post a message. They don't put anything in it, and so that's deleted. Inappropriate messages. People are not civil. Someone is not civil to another person, calling them a moron or idiot, and obviously we're not going to let that go through. It's non-genealogical or even close messages. You should see some of the stuff that try to come through. We make certain that it doesn't come through. And again, I think that's an advantage of the discussion group versus others. We're kind of nearing the end, and this is JewishGen Discussion Group Success Stories. When I put this program together, I sent out an email saying, hey, send me this success story that you had. I got about 200 replies, to be very honest. And so I just picked a few of them for today's discussion. I discovered my father had been switched at birth with an Irish boy. Once I was able to locate through DNA, I wasn't able to find married names of his three first cousins, all female. No sooner had I posted my brick wall than a reader found one of the daughter's marriage records. From that clue, I was able to trace the family 100 years to the present and was able to meet Dad's paternal side. I went from, having no knowledge of Dad's family to having a full tree. Vancouver, Washington. I've had so many success stories by posting on a discussion board. I was looking for information on the name and offspring of the superintendent of an apartment building. My father lived in Vienna prior to the war. We wanted to honor her at a Yad Vashem as a righteous Gentile. She hid the Jewish families in a roof and cellar during her Nazi regime. By posting on a discussion group, I found a resident of Vienna who helped us find out what her name was and helped us find her great-grandson. He knew about her deeds and had known his great-grandmother. We recently had a Zoom conference with the woman's descendants. Just found out that my great-uncle survived Buchenwald and returned to Riga in 1946. Today's JewishGen Discussion Group email mentioned that the Holocaust Memorial Museum added 3,493 new names from Riga to the survivors database, and it had my great-uncle's name in it. Can you imagine this? All these years, they thought he was dead, thought he was murdered, and the last record he had of him was from November 44 when he was transferred, just a few days after his brother was murdered. So by being on a discussion group, learning that there's new records, he went to the records and found that his great-uncle survived. I mean, how amazing is that? In 2019, I posted a query about a great-great-uncle on my mother's side in the hope that some of his descendants would contact me. I never heard from a possible relative, but a member found and emailed me his marriage certificate. I was thrilled to see that it recorded his parents' names. I already knew my great-great-grandfather's name from a family tree. My mother grew up in the early 50s when my grandfather was still alive, but he did not remember his grandmother's name. Thanks to the member, I now have it. I love how people pitch in and help, even if it's not their own family. And that's something you'll see on the discussion group. People that you don't even know will help you. A few years ago, a researcher contacted me, and he turned out to be Hungarian great-grandson of one of my maternal grandfather's older brothers, who are all completely unknown to me. So he's the second once removed. The member spent years searching in New York for my mother's brother, who had changed his name and had died by the time we connected. We were able to meet with my first cousin, who also born in Hungary, and they chatted briefly in Hungarian, which my cousin had not used since his childhood. I hooked up with a grandson of my grandfather's brother, a second cousin, who's PhD in Jewish history. He had found me on a discussion group. We collaborated in reconstructing the family tree, he on the family members who did not immigrate from the Soviet Union, and I on the family members who came to America. Had I not participated in a discussion group, my family tree on my paternal grandfather's side would not be half as inclusive as it is now. This person is from Israel. Last one, I believe. In September, I posted a query on a discussion group, how to go about researching family that had immigrated to Israel. I provided info and attached a photo. A JewishGen Good Samaritan replied. He did a bit of research and informed me that on the Israel Research Group website, it listed my relative in the 1928 Tel Aviv census and also sent a photo of his headstone in a cemetery. After several emails, an hour-long phone call, and more input on my family tree, I found the descendants of the missing family. The floodgates were now open. So many questions answered. Still many months later, I'm still in discovery with my newly found cousins from New York City, New Jersey, Scottsdale, Arizona, and Israel. It started with a photo and a Good Samaritan from the JewishGen discussion group. Thank you. I love this one, too. One of my favorites. 16 years ago, when I returned to my hometown, I started my journey. I entered my grandmother's name in town on the JewishGen discussion group. I shortly received a note from the manager of the Hungarian SIG. He said, I see you're interested in Tarkov, Hungary. Would you like to transcribe records for Tarkov? He sent me births in Tarkov, and lo and behold, there was my grandmother's birth in 1789. I cried and cried. Then I found her brothers and found her parents. I promised myself I wanted to make people cry like I did by transcribing vital records. I'm still doing that every day. This is heartwarming. Oh, this is the last one. One day I decided to research the discussion group archives for the name Garber, the surname of my grandparents, whose descendant tree I'd worked on for decades. There were over 220 hits in the archives, more than I wanted to read. So one title grabbed my attention, searching for Garbers in Canada or U.S. And again, what she could have done is put Garbers with a plus sign, Canada. I had descendants in both countries on my tree. The writer wrote that this grandfather was one of 4 brothers. I had 6 brothers on my tree. He responded immediately from Russia, sent me a picture with the brothers. He didn't realize that the other 2 brothers had gone to Canada. He had put the message into the discussion group because he wanted to leave Russia and come to the United States. We brought tickets for him and his wife to travel from Moscow to Chicago for a family reunion. A few years ago, he was finally able to immigrate from Russia and got a green card. He's now working in the Boston area. The last one. My cousin was having difficulty finding information about his paternal grandfather. He was told that his grandfather died around 1918, but couldn't find any information regarding his death. By asking for assistance on the discussion group led me to learning that his grandfather had murdered his lover, who was executed in Sing Sing prison for the crime. Interestingly enough, just before his execution, in his last words, he blamed his lover for being so enticing that he had no control over his actions. So these are some of the discussion group success stories. Moderators were all volunteers. Our mission is simply to confirm that messages adhere to the guidelines. We can approve a message, edit a message, reject a message, or delete a message. We approve all new members. And there's only 3 of us. There's myself, Stephen Jones, who's in Montgomery, Alabama, and Jessica Feinstein, who's in England. So and she does it throughout the night. We do it during the day. So you're covered 24/7. And every single message is viewed and approved. So if you need help or you're confused, we have a great support team. I mean, really, really good. Get back to you right away. You go to support@jewishgen.org. My personal email address, if you need it, you have any questions, phil.goldfarb@cox.net. And now I will be open for questions, and I will take off the sharing. Okay, here we are. Okay. Are there any questions? Kim?
I was
I can't
hoping,
hear you.
I was hoping Rainey Davis was going to be in here today because I saw that she had one of the stories that you read just now.
Oh,
She usually comes to our meetings. I'm going to have to tell her you quoted her.
yes, yes. And again, I had about 200 of these, and I kind of change them up every once in a while, puts them in, takes them out. But these, I thought these were kind of reflective of most of them. They're pretty cool.
Those were wonderful. I could read hundreds more of those. I love those.
Thank you. Thank you.
Phil, this is Howard. What would you say is the best way to frame a question? If you are, say, you're having a brick wall problem, you just don't have any information, and you want to frame a question to the group, how would you give me some suggestions, and what's the best way to do that?
Well, to be honest, I would put as much information as you have in there, in the body of it, in the subject line. Depends what you're doing. I'm looking for my cousin Joseph Shmulevitz from Warsaw, Poland. Now, make the subject line as specific as you can. It doesn't have to be long, but make the body of your message as specific as possible. The more information you can provide to a member, I think the better. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It does. So,
Yeah.
so lengthy messages are not a problem. If you put all this information in, it's a long message, that's not a problem.
I mean, it doesn't have to be a dissertation or a book, but whatever you need to do to get the job done, I think.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Sure.
Bill, can I make a comment on that?
Hi, Arthur. How are you?
I'm good. Can I make a comment on that? My recommendation is when you're putting together that missive that you're going to send to somebody, do it in bullet points and tell them this is what I know, and put that in bullet points and make it as very general information as you can with as little description. Don't put in my great-great-great-grandmother, Olivia Harrison Jr. I mean, that's unnecessary. The name is probably going to be irrelevant, most likely, or the great-great-great-grandmother is going to be irrelevant. So use one or the other, but not both. And then I would also tell people where I've done research, because I don't want people to think that I haven't done anything. So I will put in, I have looked for this information in the following places: JewishGen, Ancestry.com, Family Search, etc. So at least the person knows you made some effort. When I look at this stuff and people want me to do their research for you, and I'm not interested in doing that, but I am interested in helping people who have done research. So those are two of my recommendations: short and sweet, bullet points, not paragraphs. I can't read paragraphs anymore because I have to break them down into bullet points. So give me the bullet points and give me where you did your research, and I'll probably be more likely to help you than not.
Okay. Personally, I think you should put names in because they can relate. It may be in their tree, so I would put a name in. Other questions?
So Phil, it sort of sounds like and you've exposed me to something. I've used JewishGen for many years. I wasn't familiar with the discussion groups, but it sounds like you can use them sort of a way, the archive portion of it, as like a family finder on steroids. I mean, you put a question in there and you never know, a year down the road, somebody may search it.
Exactly. They can get it from the archives. Yes. Yeah. But it's certain questions come up in discussion groups that can go on for 3, 4, 5, 10 people respond. You never know. You never know. We try to shut it off after a while, but it's a discussion group. It should be discussions. So that's what it's all about. Kim.
Yeah, I see a question here by Alex in the chat. He says, I'm confused over the hierarchy. Do several groups make up a hashtag?
Several groups make up a hashtag. There's 45 hashtags, and it's usually by geographical. United States, Poland, Galatia. I don't understand what's confusing. You can put, if someone has relatives who lived in Belarus and Ukraine, and you're looking for them, you can put a hashtag Belarus, a hashtag Ukraine. But you don't need to put in, 8 hashtags thinking that it's going to go to more people, because it's not. It's just for message classification. Alex, can you unmute yourself, Alex? Alex, unmute yourself.
Yes,
There you go.
thank you. I was confused as to whether a hashtag consists of several groups. I wasn't sure whether groups were subordinate to the hashtags.
No, again, a hashtag is simply for message classification. That's all it's used for. So if your relatives are from a certain area, you'll put them into that hashtag. And I think people make more big a deal of a hashtag than they should be, and it's really not that big of a deal. But if you're searching for someone in Belarus, you can go to that Belarus hashtag, and maybe there's something in there, or there's a question about Belarus. So that's where JewishGen puts the messages, your message, into the archives. Does that clarify?
Well, I wondered whether, as there is a definition of the hashtags, I think you said there were 45, is there also a definition of the groups, or are there groups within this?
No, there are no groups within a hashtag. No, just a simple hashtag. Yeah. But, when they first started, there was like 100 and something hashtags. And then people would have to scroll down to try to find a hashtag for New York City or Florida. So they just decided to make it USA. Simplify. Simple is better.
Thank you.
Yeah. Sure.
I like I said before, I enjoyed those success stories so much. Is there a place where I could read even more? I just love short, simple, concise success stories.
Yes. Actually, if I recall, I think you get the News Nosh, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Last week's News Nosh talked about success stories. If you have one, or where to look on JewishGen for success stories. Excuse me. They aren't the same ones that I have, but some of them are.
And by the way,
Yes.
I've saved every one of your weekly ones, so I can go back to last week's easily. Thank you.
To be honest, I've been doing it for 15 years for my own JGS. And, when you introduced me, you said, oh, he started the JGS. He's the president of the JGS. That's because no one else in Tulsa wants to do it. So that's why I'm the president still. But I've been doing it for 15 years. And then when What's New went out of business, I said to Avrami, hey, I've been doing this for all these years. I can enhance it a little and make it more worldwide and do it for JewishGen. What's New is charging $18, and I said I'll do it for free, for the JewishGen members. And so he readily said yes, and so that's when it started in July. That's the history of it.
Interesting.
Yep. Anyone else? Then
Well,
I want
thank
to thank
you
you all.
so much, Phil. I'm glad that it was recorded, so now I can go back and, understand things a little bit better, and we'll have it up on our website pretty soon, right, Jim?
Yes.
Yeah, usually tonight or latest tomorrow morning. So
I also want
And
to
if,
thank you. Go ahead,
if any
Phil.
of you have any questions at all, please feel free to email me. I mean, my email address is also in the News Nosh, so email me.
Well, before I do that, this is Howard, before I do that, I'm going to go back over and review it because there's a lot of information you provided and I think it's worthwhile looking at it again.
Thank
So
you.
thank you.
And again, I only had an hour.
Understand. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. And again, if you remember nothing, remember the archives. There's so much information that people don't realize you can get out of that, going back to 1998. So have fun doing that today.